All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for attending. I know you guys are busy. You've got things to do. So I'm very, very grateful. State of the Union and what we've got going on here, guys. Essentially, we are bringing everything in-house, okay? Meaning we're handling all of our bots, all of our service in-house. So we're not using any more third-party providers. We're just finding that it's much, much easier for us to control the quality of the product. And we know what's going on because we use them all the time, okay? We are no longer working with Deer Creek and Jason. And that's just the end of that. There's really nothing to discuss. That's all there is to it. So we have different products for different levels. For those of you who are brand new, we encourage you to start off drawing your own HVAs and doing all of these entries by hand. There's a reason for this, because let's say if something happens, if the server goes down and it takes us X amount of time to get back up, you need to be able to draw these HVAs in by yourself, because we will always post the levels on Kajabi. Does everyone understand this? Yes or no? You're soon going to find out that even though you're learning to draw these things, and that's great, you're never going to get that 20 to 30 minutes of your life back. Okay? Especially when you've got a product that will just load them up for you instantly, and you don't have to think about that anymore. So that would be the HVA download tool, formerly Presto, now called Voila, which people like me call Viola. Okay? So either way, there is a replacement for that tool. Okay? Everybody got that? So if any of you would like to switch over from Deer Creek, which is providing the update, which it should be Jason providing the update, to us, please get in contact with your consultant. We will switch you over. It is no hassle. It is no extra cost. I would rather handle you in-house. This way I know you're getting the correct HVAs. Clear? Voila, Darlene. But as a red-blooded American, I call it Viola. Okay? So, that's the first step. The second step is we want you guys originally entering all of these entries by hand. I want you having to learn how to do it. Again, you don't need to buy any of these bots or any of these upgrades. They are just really, really helpful in efficiency. So if you want to do it by hand, that's fine. You don't have to buy anything else. We want you to learn how to do this by hand, measure these things off, so you can always do them all the time. Now, the Pit Viper is going to come in two different versions. One version will replace what used to be Oracle. All in, all out. Meaning what? Let's say You've been promoted to your first 100. You've gotten through your ramp up phase. You're 25, 30 trades in. This is for the people who say, well, you know something, that market moved too fast. Nope, the market's not too fast. You're too slow. And that's not a knock on you. You just have to practice more and more and more and more. But why do that when you already know how to spot the entry? You know the entry's coming. You're ready to go. You're just slow on your entry or your order entry. You've got the pit viper. It will throw your orders out all in, all out. If you get pulled in, it will set up your stop. It will set up your limit order. All you have to do is disqualified. You simply turn it off by using a button. Preston will show you what these things look like in a few minutes. When you get into money management 2, if you choose for a slight fee increase in price, you will be given the ability to change contract sizes. So for example, let's say you're taking a 3 contract entry. And your first limit order, you want to take off 2, you can take off 2, you can let 1 run. It will trail for you. You can program it to be 2 bar or 1 bar. It does it for you. You don't have to touch it. So what do I mean by that? Have you guys heard, especially this morning, when the cash register was ringing in the background when I was in that ES entry? Every time that cash register rang, that limit order trailed in my favor. Cha-ching, 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 locking in profit. You don't have to do anything after you're in the entry. You're in it until you're not. If you want to flatten it, you can flatten it. That's entirely up to you. Clear? Has everybody got that so far? After that, if you so choose, we have come up with a trending entry tool. That will be for people in Money Management 2 or Live. It comes with a specific set of rules. It comes with indicators so you know when it's hitting. Preston and I have been testing it out for the last few weeks. It seems to work very, very well. That's the order in which we're doing things, guys. Now, you can do my entire method by hand, and that's fine, manually, or you can choose to upgrade certain things. You don't have to buy everything. If you just want HVAs, you can just have that. If you just want Pit Viper 1 or Pit Viper 2, that's fine. You don't need to buy the trending entry software. It's available to you if you choose to use it. We can talk to you about it. We can tell you if it fits your style, because for people who only take reversals, it's probably not going to be a good fit for them. And there are people that will only take reversals. Clear? But we will have something for every phase of your education. You're still going to need to achieve level 1 before you go to level 2. That's just the way we work here. I am not going to sell you something that you don't need or you cannot use. That's not what we do. That is it for my portion of this webinar. I now present you the lovely and talented Preston Vogl.
Hey guys, so I'm just gonna first start talking about what we have available or what's coming down the line. First and foremost, several of you, I would say a good majority of you already have the Pit Viper. You got
You might want to try that with the.
that would help. So again, guys, first and foremost, we're just going to be talking about what we currently have and what's coming down the pipeline. Like Pat said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll address them at little intervals between after I describe something. Like, first off, we already know what the Pit Viper is. It's been around for a while. Several of you already have it. I would say 99.9% of you love it. And that's these interactive buttons that are on your screen. This one, like Pat said, this will be replacing the Oracle for those of you that have the Oracle. So one that is no longer serviced by Jason, or if you just want to switch right away, you can do so to use the all in all out aspect of that. And then the bread and butter is really in the trailing option that's up here on the top left. The way that function is you just turn it on and off. You go long or short. You just choose it. You choose your contract size as your base. A lot of these settings are inside of the strategy itself that you'll pick before you turn it on and enable it. But you simply, if you wanted to go long, 3 lots, you'd
Order
select it.
submitted.
If you needed it reduced down to 2 real quick, as long as you haven't been pulled in, it'll pull you in, or it'll update that chart. A lot of those settings, like I said, are going to be up to your discretion. We've done a lot
Order canceled.
for you guys and to address your preferences, such as if we just take a quick look at those trailing options, you can have it start out at max risk. You can do market if touch target orders. You can have it move your protective stop to break even at 70%. So that means once the target, or once the price moves towards your target, 70% of the way it'll move your protective stop for you to break even. Or you can have profit target already at that 70% if that's something that you prefer to have. And let me disable this so we can look at further options. You can have 2 targets thrown down instead of just 1 for that trailing option. So the current setting is 3 contracts. 2 of them will be put out at 1-to-1, and if you choose the 2 target option, the remaining 1 lot will be thrown out at a 2-to-1 that you are still free to move like any other order to adjust. You can choose a 1-bar trail or a 2-bar trail, depending on your preference. And then to go along with your advancement through money management, you can change your base lot size from 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 8. Whether or not we add more support to it to go up higher, that's just a question for down the line. But in other words, development is always proceeding and moving forward. This isn't going to be the final rendition of the Pit Viper. We've had probably 2 or 3 that have come out, with this being the most recent to you all. There's one that's currently being worked on right now. For those of you that are far more advanced, that's going to go more aligned with what we're going to be talking about that's coming down the line. That has to do with volume orders, and trying to fine tune your entry to get that optimal entry, and that'll be another option to choose from. And again, that one comes with experience and what you're really looking for. It's not available to you just yet, but it is coming down the line. It's actually, I've got it. I've been testing it a lot. I like it, but it most likely will come with a change in lot size structure, not just trailing 1, but maybe 2 or 3 as well, depending on how many you have. It's a lot of code to write, but it is coming down that line. And then you can see on the chart right now, we have a little bit of a different view. You see these blue lines, red lines. Well, we decided to integrate the ATRs and make them available soon as well to students. These are the same lines that you see on Blue Water. They'll form a bit differently than the ones on blue water, and that's just because of how data is accumulated and digested in each platform. But the settings are all the same, and it is a useful tool for trailing stops. It's something that Pat used to teach frequently. And yeah, ATR means average true range. For those of you who don't know, it's seen as a trailing stop option that we used to teach frequently when I first started. And it's just something that ninjas lacked. They had their own ATR, but it wasn't one that overlays like this. It was just on its own separate graph, and it's hard to interpret and decipher. And so this brings it to life onto your chart as well, so you can visually see that. And then lastly, what we're working on is essentially that replacement for the wicked order flow. And that's what you're seeing here in these light blue and pink arrows and lines that are highlighted on the bars. Essentially, what you're looking for an entry is a highlighted bar with an arrow on top of it, or a double arrow bar. And it'll most likely change to a single highlighted bar with one arrow as a potential indication for a trade, so long as you're following the parameters. And this one fired off right when we started the webinar here. You can see that your bars already started lighting up, and I'll zoom in here for you. They already started lighting up, and then you got your confirmation with the arrows to potentially go after that entry. And you can see that was 1-to-1. That was an instant winner. And then you had it happen again where it highlighted the bar, but then it didn't give you the arrow. And then it highlighted the bar with the arrow. And then that just took off for another winner. So, in terms of structure stops, that's not something that I have on my list right now. It is something I would like to implement down the line, but it's just not on the notepad for me to work on right now, Nick. There's just a lot going on. Darlene, let me zoom in farther for you. They're tiny. The issue with the arrows is they don't let you change the size or format of them. But there's an arrow there on the line. There's an arrow there on the line. There's an arrow there on the line. On top of that, an audible alert fires off, like Joe said when we first started. It's that ding dong that you get for that alert to draw your eye to the screen so that you don't potentially miss out on anything. And then Miriam says, so even if it's more than one bar out, you will get an arrow. So it's not looking at just that HVA edge, right? It's got a lot going into it. It's got volume. It's got a ton of stuff built into this to give an optimal entry for a trending entry. Again, keyword is trending entry. So if you're stuck in the middle of the range, it's not ideal to take anything, right? So you're looking for those trending entries, those breakouts, and this is what it's attempting to signal to you. David Wallace, so the trade is valid when an arrow shows. Yeah, it's potentially valid for that. And you can see here at that 10:30 mark. Let me see if I can zoom in so we can see clearly. When we had that huge congestion and you fired off an arrow right there, it's already highlighting the bar telling you that we have potential selling taking place or setting up, right? Before that, you had a double arrow. And I am most likely going to adjust it to highlight and give an arrow instead of just a double arrow. But and that will be just for consistency's sake. But for now, if you got a highlighted area and then an arrow, that's a potential setup for a trade. Now, this one you would have been pulled in, and if you just did your normal parameters, you would have sat on this, I don't know for how long, 85, 75. You still wouldn't have been hit, and then you would have had it, right? And it gave you another signal there, and that one just tanked right after. This was a double, went down. This was nothing. It's just a single. It blew through it, right? And then Francis, are there arrows equivalent to the EX buyer? No, we don't do EX buyer EXL in here. No, it's completely different. It has nothing to do with that software. And when the arrow is below the edge, it's
Just to be clear, just to be very clear, guys, I have nothing to do with that software anymore. The stuff that we're bringing out is ours, okay? Absolutely nothing to do with it. Please.
yeah, this has no relation to the wicked order flow in any way, shape, or form. And you can say, you're always going to have a loss, right? But so far, the wins versus loss ratio is a lot higher. And Pat and I have been sending each other emails back and forth for, quite a while now as we've been fine tuning this. And this is the latest rendition. Pat doesn't even have this. Either Joe doesn't even have this to even look at. But you can see the double arrow here and then that large move up shortly after the market opened. Double move here. Took a little while, but it moved up, right? So you're looking for that confirmation, and the design was intended to be as easily read as possible, so that you don't have to overthink or get distracted looking at other things to your left, right. It was designed to minimize the work on your end as a trader, so that you can get the optimal fill for your entries. And then let me look at these here. Darlene says, so how does the software work if you bought the lifetime to Ninja? Then how do we get your software? It's just a lease like anything else, Darlene. If you recall, when you came down to Pompano, we were able to lease the Pit Viper on your machine for that week because you came down to the event. You got it for free to try it out. It's just a lease to your machine. Then Nick says, I like this simpler replacement alternative. Then Francis says, right, but do the arrows function similar to where you see a down arrow, it'll be a good time to sell, and an up arrow is good time to buy, granted you follow the method? I mean, that's just that secondary confirmation of a potential entry, Francis. It doesn't mean that you are going to jump in on it, right? The issue with the EX buys and EXLs is they fired off too frequently. And then Glenn says, and this takes place of the wicked order flow. Yeah, this is looking to take place of the wicked order flow. And there will be a set of rules with this as well. So right now we got 2 highlighted bars, right? But no arrow. Can it work out? Yeah, it can work out, but look at this consolidation to your left, right? So if you were to go after something like that, you would definitely consider reducing down. And then Jeff says, I like this new interface. Darlene says, how much is the lease, and the lease lasts for how long? I have no clue, Darlene. That's not anything that I have any dealings with. You'll have to talk to your consultant, and it's not even out yet for students to lease. This is still in development at this time. And Bud, yes, it's for the trend.
We're not releasing anything until this is ready. Okay, and it's not going to be nearly as expensive as you might think. Okay, so just so you get that, we're working on this. I've got to work with this with Blue Water on this. Okay, yeah, that's definitely not going to happen, Glenn Davis. I'm working with Blue Water on this. We're trying to get this for everything possible. Okay. And before Preston gets back in this, why can't it be used for regular reverses and inverses? Because regular reversals and inverses don't need anything, Miriam. Not to mention the fact, this is something that you guys got to understand. This stuff is not artificial intelligence. It's only as good as we can program it to be. It's not going to do everything. Nothing can. Okay? And there's going to be a specific set of rules to this particular software where certain things can only be done in certain places, and that is it. So just because bars are firing off, doorbells are firing off, if it's not in the correct place, which we are going to etch in stone, it's not valid. Okay? That's simple. So it's not something that you can make better for reversals or inverses. We're never ever going to be perfect. We can't just pick the winners. Okay? Preston, please continue.
Yeah, like Pat was saying,
I know, Bud. Why can't you just pick the winners?
yeah, it's like you can't just pick winners. You're gonna have areas where you have a setup and an indicator and it loses. I mean, we have that here back here, right? You got a double arrow. It's at an inverse edge. But what's the overall market sentiment, right? Buyers are in charge. Why would you step in front of that? So you got a loss there, right? And then you have potential buying pressure here. Again, right? You're yeah, buying right on that edge. If you don't know context of what's going on, you're not following the rules, then what good is this indicator for you, right? You still have to follow the rules, right? And everyone just wants the winners, Joe. And then there was a question, Steve Taylor, how do I replace the Oracle bots with the Pit Viper? Again, just contact your consultant. They'll be able to get that mitigated for you. And then Gerald Youth says, this only works with Ninja. If we use Blue Water, we need to switch to Ninja. That's up to you. If you want to look for this and use it when it comes out, it currently is only available on Ninja. And then Miriam, Pat already answered yours. And then Darlene says the lease for the software is in addition to room charge. Yeah, that's correct. The lease does not cover your room expense. It only covers the usage for that software, and that goes for any software that's in development already out there, right? The Pit Viper, you need to lease it. It's an additional charge to your room because you don't need it, right? You just don't need it. Pat mentioned that before. You don't need these indicators. You don't need the Pit Viper. Are they useful tools? Yes, but you don't need it to trade the methodology first and foremost. And then Kai says, with Pit Viper icons in upper left and PV settings are set, does this get enabled in the NinjaTrader ATM strategy? So if you pull in the window of your chart trader, Kai, as long as you have the indicator on the chart, you can enable and disable it from that same spot. And you see, I just enabled the trailing one, then it popped up immediately on that top left. Right? As long as you have your settings chosen and everything is correct in there, you can turn it on from that strategy tab, and it should now be on your chart. And now this is where you are integrating into the trade. You can see here, you got that arrow and line. It didn't pull you in right away according to the method, but that it came down and hit that inverse, right? Whether you decide to go after it or not, you can use that as potential for that entry, and you're already looking at a winner here, right? Or close to one. Is or will the bot still be available? What bot are you referring to? The Pit Viper or the Oracle? The Oracle is no longer sold. We don't have anything to do with that. If you currently have a lease through Jason, he will go to the term of the lease. If you have the Oracle, you can switch it over to the Pit Viper either at the end of your current Oracle lease or whenever you want, I guess. Michelle Prim says, if you turned on the Pit Viper, it would have taken the ES trade, right? It would have taken it, yeah. To change it to your count number, so you'd have to make sure it's disabled, right click, edit strategy, and then you would go all the way down to setup account, and you would choose from the drop down which account you want to point it towards. Right now it's just on the sim account. that a help, Kai? And then you won't see any, and just like with anything, if you have orders on a different account and you don't have your chart pointing to that same account, you won't see the orders. So you'd have to make sure you change your account as well. Yeah, and Joe's saying everyone should know how to do that through the initial setup, but if for whatever reason you forget, you can always just ask in the room, and if we have time to go over it again with you, we will. I think that pretty much wraps everything up. Joe, do you have anything to add?
No, sir. I'm just going to post one more time the banner of the flash sale in case you guys didn't see it in your emails of what's going on. But feel free to ask questions. We're going to be in the room all day.
All right, and just so everybody is clear with this, I want to make sure everybody's listening right now. Okay, so who's listening right now? Hey, Kai, I'll get Preston to help you with that, okay? Very simply put, we are no longer working with Jason. That was his choice. If you have Oracle on Ninja, we will replace you with the Pit Viper all in, all out. You're losing nothing, okay? You don't need to purchase anything if you don't want to. We are merely offering things. This is a business. It doesn't stay in business by giving everything away for free. Preston is killing himself working on this stuff. We test these things up, down, left, right, all over the place so they work. Okay, guys? These are just things we're offering to you. No one is saying you have to buy anything. No one is saying you're required to do anything. I have always taken care of everybody in here and every client I have ever had. I am not that guy, okay? This is where we're moving from this point forward. All right? Everything will be handled in-house. So if something isn't working, guess what? You got a guy right here in the room that can help you do it. It's just a much more efficient way for us to do things, okay? Are there any questions? Anything we can help you with? Well, it's not really a lot to think about, Darlene. It's just we're moving from one model to another. That's it. You know, just like everything else I've ever taught you guys, there's a very specific set of rules to things, okay? Everything is in here. Exactly. They don't remove the methodology. The methodology is the methodology. That's what it is. Well, I'm going to tell you one thing, Chris. The products and the services are going to be much, much better than they've been in the past because we're dealing with it. That's what I can tell you.
Hey, Pat, can I make a point too?
Yeah, Joe.
So everybody in the room, you guys, I want you to know that it's not a bother for you guys to ask questions either in the room or pick up the phone and call us. That is what we are here for. There are times We literally welcome your calls because we like talking to you. We want to help you guys get to where you want to be, but don't feel like you're bothering anybody at all ever. Just ask away or pick up the phone and call us.
If you've got questions, just let us know. If something isn't working, let us know. How many people were in this room over the last couple of months where we were asking you, if something isn't right, email us and show us screenshots? How many of you were in here? And did we handle it immediately as soon as we had the screenshots to compare? If you don't tell us things we don't know, we do the best that we can. I'm just done listening to excuses. We brought it all in-house, and that's just the way it's going to be. You've got us right here. We've never hidden from anything. We've never run from anything. We're right here, and we're going nowhere. Okay? And you're welcome, and I appreciate it too, Joe. Thank you. So if there aren't any more questions, we'll get back to it. Yeah, but Jesse, I'm just going to be out for a couple of days if that happens. I won't be out long. And Joe, we do our best every day to get better. We offer these types of tools to make things more efficient. We do the best we can to give you the best that we have. Hey, a long time ago, guys. Yeah, right? Right, David Decker? A long time ago, guys, the person that brought me into this business had said to me, what good are you if you're not helping people who want the help? And this was at a stage in my life where I was extremely selfish and I didn't fully understand the weight of those words. Okay? You really don't understand the weight of those words until you realized how truly successful in every phase of his life he was. All right? And he died way too early because he had a lot left to teach. It's my duty to do that. He gave to me at a time in my life where I couldn't see forward. It's my responsibility to do the same thing. A lot of you don't think that way, that I'm like that. You just think that I'm some rampaging a-hole. And that's another reason, Bud. There's another reason I'm here, and it's purely selfish. Because I want you to be able to tell people who said you couldn't do this to kiss your entire behind. And I'm good looking, David Decker. That's another reason I do this. All right, if there are not any more questions, we'll move on to the rest of the day. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you very much for understanding what we've had to deal with in the last couple of months. I am very grateful. I can tell you everybody here is very grateful. And there's some people that are not in this room, guys. There are some people that are not in this room who really came through for us and asked nothing in return. These are the kind of people that you're with, okay? These are the kind of people that you're with, whether you know it or not. What kind of software do you have when things go wrong with the software? You're speaking to them, Kathy. And unless there's a fatal crash on some sort of system, most of these things can be handled in the room. You're not going to hear some sort of response that you don't know how to use this or this is your fault. Trust me, if you guys keep shutting it down without saving it correctly, believe me, we're going to tell you it's your fault. Okay? But that's pretty much it. If you go in there and change something that you weren't supposed to change and then you shut it down and save it, we're going to know. Okay? Darlene, there's not going to be a charge for things that are just simply taken care of in the room. But if it's a constant problem and the same mistake is being made, yeah, there's going to be a charge because we're not that. Okay? If it's not a problem with the software, but it's user error, yeah, there's going to be a charge. 99% of stuff we can fix in the room. Believe me when I tell you this. These software issues are not as difficult as most people would have you believe. Kathy, I'm not even going to address the parentheses because if I ever hear that again, we're going to have a problem. You're doubting yourself again. Okay? You're doing that to yourself. When you get to money management 2, if you're interested in adding software, we'll talk about it. But again, guys, you need to earn this stuff to get to a next level. The method is still the method. No software overrides that. Okay? Well, there's a big difference, Kathy, because some of these things can be handled by software. For example, if you're getting into things, but you're getting in late or you're getting in early, that's an execution problem. Maybe, you're just not fast on a computer. And there's some people that are like that. And putting in separate orders can be, quite tedious. That's a situation where I would suggest using the software. Does that make sense? See you, Bart. See you, Gerald. Oh, yeah, it is. It's a very old movie. See you, Jeff. Thank you very much, everybody. That's it for us right now. Webinar's over. Markets are still open. You guys know how I feel about trading on Fridays after 12 p.m. noon. Virginia, good to see you again, young lady. To all of you as well.